us is Conservative MP Liz Truss. She's the Chief Secretary to the Treasury. It's going to be a tough year, we're told by the Chancellor, but growth is improving after that, as long as we have a smooth Brexit.
That's right, and in fact the public finances are considerably better than expected. We're overachieving on our deficit targets, and we've also seen record employment. So I think what this shows is the UK economy is fundamentally strong.
OK, but we need a smooth Brexit. So what's going to happen on the 29th of March? Should we leave without a deal?
What I want to see is the Prime Minister's deal get the necessary support. I realise yesterday was not a great night, but we did see some colleagues. I saw Ben Bradley's just been on your show. Ben Bradley came on board, other colleagues came on board, and what I want to do is make sure that we persuade people to support the Prime Minister's deal, which is the best possible option. But I think while we do that, we need to keep no deal on the table, otherwise we lose our negotiating leverage.
Even if it impacts on the economy?
And the reality is that if we don't get a deal that commands the support of Parliament, we can't avoid no deal. We can't just say we don't want no deal. We have to either say there'll be no Brexit, which I think would be a disaster from the point of view of the British public. We'd lose a huge amount of trust in politicians. Or we have to support Theresa May's deal. Those are the only options on the table.
Or we can go for an extension of Article 50 to potentially the end of the year, 2 years, who knows?
But the point about an extension is that wouldn't be the unilateral decision of the UK Parliament. The EU would be able to turn down an extension, or they might be attached conditions to an extension, paying extra money, a longer term extension, all sorts of other conditions. I think that's a massive risk. And what I really fear is there are many people in this country who unfortunately want to stop Brexit. They want to stop delivering what the British people have voted for. And I think having a significant extension, as some people have proposed, would play into those hands.
There seems to be a big difference, though, if I may, between your position and your boss's position. Philip Hammond saying in his speech today that essentially no deal should be taken off the table. So how do you reconcile that?
We both agree that the best option is the deal that we both voted on yesterday, the Prime Minister's deal.
But you disagree on no deal?
I say I want to keep no deal on the table, but my preferred option is getting more support for the Prime Minister's deal. But until we get that deal, until we get a deal through the House of Commons, we can't take no deal off the table unless we decide not to go ahead with Brexit, which I think would be a disaster. Those are the choices. The choices are the Prime Minister's deal, no deal, or no Brexit. And what I'm saying is I prefer no deal to no Brexit.
But doesn't this, sorry, Kay, if I may, doesn't this just underline, you know, a concern we get told by countless companies that we go out and talk to is they just don't know how to plan right now because there is so much uncertainty. So keeping no deal on the table is going to add to that uncertainty. It's going to potentially hit investment. It's going to hit the economy. So isn't that a damaging move for the UK economy?
The way to end the uncertainty is to get a deal. And the only deal I think that has a chance of getting through, which was shown by the Brady Amendment that commanded the support of Conservative MPs, the DUP and Labour Leave voters, that was the only deal that has shown the potential to get through the House of Commons. I think that's the basis we need to work on. We can't get rid of no deal by simply not leaving the European Union, because that would lose huge public trust. And I believe Brexit is the right thing to do.
So what do you do in tonight's vote then?
Well, I will vote to keep no deal on the table. There's a smorgasbord of amendments that have been proposed. We don't know exactly what those are. I will look at those as they come up. But fundamentally, I think we need to keep the pressure up. We need to hold our nerve. I do believe that we can get more MPs on board with the Prime Minister's deal. Okay. But until then, I don't think we can rule out no deal.
So you're going to vote in favour of the government motion?
Well, I don't think that is likely to happen, because I think it's likely to be amended. Provided it doesn't take no deal off the table, I will vote for it.
OK. The other point that we were chatting in the office before we came out earlier on today, and we're going to hear a 3-year spending review, aren't we, from the Chancellor. We don't know what's going to happen by the end of the month. So how can you plan for 3 years, and how can business plan for 3 years when we literally don't know what's going to happen?
Well, we have got a very resilient economy, and we had some very good news on the public finances, which is that January saw a large surplus, and we've got deficit being reduced ahead of target. The debt is coming down faster than expected as a proportion of GDP. So we do have more headroom in our spending review. But of course, getting certainty on Brexit will be very helpful in terms of going through the spending review process. And we're intending to do that just before the summer recess.
Yeah, but you're just picking out
starting
numbers.
the process.
Years is that, who knows where we're going to be in 3 years' time? We might still be a part of the European Union.
What I want to see is some very hard thinking by my colleagues over the next few days. So we do get the backing for the Prime Minister's deal with the changes that have made by the European Union, so that we can get that certainty. Businesses can plan for the future, but also the government can plan for the future.
But you appreciate the anxiety and uncertainty about that, don't you?
I completely appreciate that. I'm an MP that has consistently voted for the Prime Minister's deal because I think it represents the right balance of leaving the customs union, having our own independent trade policy, but also managing the process of leaving the EU.
And here comes the leadership question just before you go. I'm sure you've been asked it once or twice already today. When do you fancy it?
I am not thinking about anything like that at the moment. What I'm thinking about is how are we going to get our Conservative colleagues, the DUP, to support the Prime Minister's deal so we can leave the European Union.
But that's the problem, isn't it,
I
Ms.
think the
Truss?
Prime
No one's
Minister,
thinking
I think the Prime
past the
Minister
end of
is
March.
doing a fantastic job.
Really?
I think
Do you really?
I do. She is incredibly
Charles
resilient.
Walker was on the programme yesterday, and he said that if the Parliament collectively was a horse, it would be put down.
Well, I think that is a bad analogy. I think we're in a difficult situation at the moment. We've got a minority government. The EU is not easy to negotiate with. The Prime Minister has continued, even though struggling with her voice today, she is so resilient. She is going to succeed and she is going to get this deal.
Let's see.
Thank
It's good
you.
to talk to you as always. Thank you.